All right, man, peace. So the Oklahoma City Thunder have had many issues with chemistry at the outset of this season, which one who understands basketball could prognosticate because they were bringing together three isolation players. Anyway, they're going to talk about it, and of course, I'm going to chime in.
Jack. So the Thunder fell to the Nuggets last night. That's their fourth straight loss. And afterward, their locker room door stayed closed. And closed. And closed for more than a half an hour as players and coaches held a meeting to sort through what's been going wrong.
Already?
Certainly had plenty to choose from. The Thunder coughed up a double-digit lead to Denver, with things growing so stagnant that by the end of the game, they had just one assist, one, in the entire fourth quarter.
Why is that a surprise? They have three isolation players. I mean, and beyond that, they have three isolation players who don't play a championship style of basketball and never have, and they're not going to win a championship. I believe that they're going to get good enough that they're going to be a physical threat to other teams in the West, but they're not going to be able to play the team style of basketball that's going to win championships.
This is especially troubling because last year, the end of games was where the Thunder dazzled. They were one of the NBA's top teams in the clutch.
Please. They did well down the stretch of games in last year's regular season because Russell Westbrook would just go drive the lane hard and refs would give him the foul call. All right? It had nothing to do with proficiency in clutch situations.
This season, they're already 0-6 in what the NBA defines as clutch time, and it's not just because their offense has no oxygen. It doesn't. Their defense in those minutes has also just been horrific. Take a look at this chart of defensive ratings.
That's not good.
I saw SI's website lay this out this morning, and it just knocked me out how crazy it looks. There's the rest of the league, and then just whoop, and it.
You sure that it's the chart that knocked you out, or was it the antidepressant medication that you're probably on, allegedly?
In a different part of the stratosphere are the Thunder, who might the New York Knicks. I mean, look, at this point, the Thunder might as well lay out a welcome mat, some flowers, one of those courtesy bowls of fruit in front of their basket in the last 5 minutes of a game.
Look, the Thunder are never going to be a good defensive team because Carmelo Anthony can't guard a statue. Paul George is a good defender. He's not as great as he once was, especially before he broke his leg. And Westbrook, I don't know what's going on inside of his head. I mean, I think he just got a bunch of mosquitoes in between his ears. I have no idea, but he's definitely missing a few brain cells.
And what makes this all particularly striking is that outside of those 5 minutes, guys,
And I say that from a basketball perspective, because for all intents and purposes, off the court, Westbrook is highly intelligent and bright.
The Thunder are bulldogs defensively. Overall, they're the number 2 overall defensive team in the league this season. And let's not forget that overall, they are also still incredibly talent-rich. They have the tools to figure this out. But while it is way too soon to panic over the fact they haven't done that yet, they are 11 games in. It is definitely time to make some decisions. So far, everyone in that locker room has been deferential almost to a fault, the exact opposite of the ego clash that so many feared.
Right, but that's why it's so important when you bring in stars of the caliber of the players that they brought in to have a real system. Once again, they're playing in the Russell Westbrook system. It's very similar to the LeBron system. That's why I like to compare Westbrook with LeBron. Westbrook is really just a smaller, slightly more athletic version of LeBron James. And LeBron is a better shooter than Westbrook is, but they both play the same way. Just attack, dominate the basketball, and just use their physical superiority and their hyper athleticism to just dominate the game. But it's very difficult for other players to play with them. It just is. And the main difference between the two of them is not just size, but also LeBron James's basketball IQ is about 10 times higher than Westbrook. But Westbrook, conversely, is much more eager to take shots in clutch moments than LeBron is, even though normally he's not very successful making most of those shots. I mean, he had some success last year against bad teams, but in big spots against good teams, he does not make big shots.
It's led to some obvious on-court awkwardness, especially when games are on the line. And without any clear direction, all three stars, they just fall back into their iso ball comfort zones.
Well, I mean, you got guys who've been doing the same shit. Melo been doing the same shit for 15 years. You think he's going to change now? Carmelo Anthony is not a winning basketball player. Melo's a guy who has to be totally re-indoctrinated. He has to be totally brainwashed by a coach who can force his ways on Carmelo. And tell him, look, Carmelo, when you get the ball, you have 2 seconds to make a decision. You must either make your offensive move or you must pass the ball within 2 seconds. All that pat, hold, go between the legs like an old man at the YMCA, all that shit is not going to win games. All that's going to do is stagnate the offense. We cannot have that. In regards to Westbrook is almost too talented for his own good because he's so talented, it stops people from really trying to correct his game and trying to really coach him. And then he has so many fans amongst the liberal sports media and former players that everybody's scared to tell him anything.
Synergy stats show that OKC runs more isolation than any other team in the NBA. You're not going to win basketball games that way.
Well, they're going to run a lot of those isolation plays because that's what, number one, that's what those players are comfortable with. Number two, they're not really used to being catch and shoot guys. They're not used to being forced to make quick decisions. That's incumbent upon the coach. Once again, that's why Kevin Durant left, right? Remember when he was going back and forth on one of his 500 Twitter accounts or Facebook accounts, whatever the hell he was making his remarks from, he stated that he didn't like the coach because he understood that the coach did not have the balls to take Westbrook aside and say, look, here's what you're going to do and here's what you're not going to do. And part of the reason why he didn't do that was because he didn't know what the hell Westbrook should be doing.
And while I'm not a big fan of people saying you have to know whose team it is, I do think a team has to know what it is. And the Thunder don't yet.
I agree with that.
Did they figure it out behind that closed locker room door last night? They play again tonight. I guess we will start to find out.
Well, those of us who saw that game or know about that game know that Paul George went off for 42 points. That really is not so much of an indicator of them solving the problem, but I think that it's a step in the right direction. Because despite what a lot of the liberal sports media and former players will say, no, Russell Westbrook should not be playing how he played last season. He's a point guard. That's what I'm constantly being told. So it's his job to get the other players who are supposed to be the scorers into the offense and shooting the basketball. That's his job.
Out. Stephen, what do you think the first thing is that needs to change for the Thunder?
I think Russ needs to get back to the Russ he was last year.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's why you sitting your ass there on the panel and not in the league. All right, that's why they sent you packing, because you're saying dumb shit like that. A lot of these guys are fans of Westbrook, and Westbrook is like Westbrook is like that pretty chick that puts out. She's not going to make you take her anywhere. She's just going to give you some ass. Everybody likes her. That's how Westbrook is. All these guys like Westbrook because, Westbrook has not really accomplished anything from a team perspective to make them feel insecure about liking him. Everybody likes the super talented underdog. That's who Westbrook is.
This team, the way they built, they got guys that can score, but they still need that 30, 10, and 10 Russ, not that 15, 10, and 10 Russ.
Okay, well, if you want the 30, 10, and 10 Russ, that means that he's taking about 27 shots. If he's going to do what he did last season, then what the hell was the point of bringing in Carmelo and Paul George? What you're saying makes no sense, bro. Please keep in mind that Oscar Robertson never won shit putting up all them numbers. And neither will Westbrook.
Russ. They need that 30-point Russ. They need him to be more dominant. I think if he becomes more dominant and becomes the Russ he was last year, you won't have any question about who's the man or whose team it is.
No. What Westbrook needs to do is to bring those two new players into the fold and to make their job as easy as possible. OKC is still playing an old school type of offense where you have the point guard dominate the basketball. The main difference is that in their form of offense, there's no post player. There's no big man receiving the ball in the post. Like back in the day, you had a point guard who bring the ball up and he would feed the post, get the center involved. Even if the center wasn't that good, you try to get the center off early. In this offense now, you have Westbrook dominating the ball, but he's not giving the ball to Steven Adams. He's just dribble, and taking a 30-foot three or driving to the basket trying to dunk over somebody. And he's not getting his other guys involved like he needs to get them easy shots. In regards to Melo and Paul George, they have to make quicker decisions, particularly Melo. We cannot have you there patting the damn ball.
He needs to be more dominant and be the Russ last year for them to be successful.
This is why I want to disagree with you, because I think if he does that, you're basically asking Melo and Paul George to just basically be just dudes on the court. And I think that's the issue here, is that that can't be the case, but it also can't be the case of what we have right now, which is my turn, your turn.
Right.
And that's what we're seeing a lot,
Thank you, Amin. In other words, like I'm saying, they need an actual offense. The issue is the coach. The coach has to be a man and actually implement a real offense for them to run. If he can do that. If he can't do that, then they have to find somebody else. But I believe it's going to be too late anyway because Paul George is going to be a free agent. And I'm not sure what Carmelo's contractual status is, but I think both of those guys are just going to be out at the end of the season, particularly if Russ shows that he's unable to really understand what it takes to make his teammates better. Because he really didn't make KD better. KD was just so great offensively that he would just take his.
Just from last night's fourth quarter, the couple of plays on a spot shadow here. Take a look at this play right here. Look at Paul George. No, I'm dead out of this play. Look at his body language, straight up and down. As a defender, I know I can cheat. I can start to sag off of that. Melo on the other hand.
And that also is a coaching issue. That once again, that's the difference between a team like this and Golden State. And also a player like Steph Curry and a player like a Paul George or these other players like a Russell Westbrook. Steph Curry is always moving. He's always setting back picks. He's always cutting so that even a play that's not designed for him, he can be a productive member of the play and maybe even get the ball. Who knows? Players like this, it's not so much the stats that tell who's a better player, but oftentimes it's what happens off the ball. There's things that Steph Curry does off the ball that Russell Westbrook does not do because Russell Westbrook's basketball IQ is very low. Very low.
On the other hand,
and a lot of that's not all his fault because he hasn't had top-notch coaching. A top-notch coach will force you to raise your level, just like Steve Kerr forced Durant to raise his level of understanding in the game. That's why you see Durant make so many quick decisions. When you watch Golden State play, they're making quick decisions. They're not holding the ball.
On the other side, he's crabbing. He knows he's part of this play. On this play right here, look at Melo just chilling, taking a stroll. He knows, hey, this ain't my night. This is Paul George's night right here at this play. Even when Robertson sets a flare screen where you're supposed to be moving and cutting, there's supposed to be action happening on every play.
Absolutely. That's why, once again, I stated I enjoy this guy's basketball takes much more than Stephen A. Smith. This guy actually knows what he's talking about, unlike Stephen A. Smith, who just sounds like an old grumpy dude mad that his knee broke in half 25 years ago, trying to act as if he would have been in the NBA if that didn't happen. Amin actually has knowledge of the game from the front office down to the court side.
Play, regardless of whether that plays for you or for not, because what happens is the defense has to respect. Carmelo Anthony's cutting hard or flaring to the corner hard. As a defender, I know I got to react to that. But when he's like this, I'm like, he's clearly not part of this. And that's the problem with their offense. It's just so cookie cutter.
Yep, predictable, elementary. Absolutely agree.
And straightforward.
Well, Billy Donovan's been telling the press he's preaching the ball movement. He's preaching getting their assist numbers up.
Well, then if you're preaching it and they're not listening, that means your ass need to be fired. Because if they don't respect you, why the fuck you there for?
I assume he's telling the players that too.
Yeah, but what it's manifesting itself into, I saw the stat earlier today, the three guys are all averaging about the same number of shots and the same number of points. And basically it's just like, okay, we're going to share. Share means your turn, my turn, your turn.
Well, that's what was going on when KD was there. That's why KD left. And all you guys got mad when he left. When I say you guys, I'm talking about the people on TV. And some of you people out there in the internet world also. Everybody got mad when KD left. KD wanted to raise to a high level. He wanted to learn more about the game. In order to learn more about anything in life, most of the time it involves you taking yourself out of your comfort zone. In order for you to really maximize who you're going to be as a person, most of the time that involves taking yourself out of your comfort zone. For LeBron to maximize himself, he had to leave the Ohio area. All right, KD had to leave OKC. All right, those are things that happen in life. Sometimes you got to leave your job. You want a career, you got to go chase your career. You know?
Turn, and that's not quite what he said. Sharing is not just the end result; it's also the process.
It seemed like during the game they played as a team 3 quarters, but the 4th quarter is all about me. I want to be the hero. I'm not going to pass.
Well, I think it's the opposite. I think that it's not that they all want to be the hero. I think they just don't really, as you're saying, they don't know how to work together, and so they just kind of fall back into what they've done their whole
nobody
career.
Can be mad. Nope.
That means that they run a very, very poor offense, and Russell Westbrook is not doing his job as the point guard. His job is to let guys know this is what we're running. This is what I want you to do. Simple as that. And if the coach is saying that he's designing plays that involve man movement off the ball, if they're not listening, that means they have no respect for you. So that means you probably got to go. Guys like Carmelo Anthony and Paul George, they ain't but about 2 or 3 coaches in the league they're going to respect anyway. Those guys have gone to the Olympics. They've gone to all-star games. Like, they really think that they're as good as the top players. They really don't understand what it is that they need to learn. For the most part, they're set in their ways. And it's really only, like I said, 2 or 3 coaches that they will actually try to listen to. And Billy Donovan's not one of them.
Nobody can be mad, but I gave you a turn, and now it's my turn, and now it's her turn.
And also, look, these are hard habits to break. They've all spent a career being the primary option, and so when you kind of don't know what to do and the pressure's on and it's crunch time, you kind of just fall back into what
I still believe in them, though.
I do, too.
I do from the standpoint that I believe they'll be a 50-plus win team, probably around 51, 52 wins. They're going to be a physical threat to a lot of teams in the playoffs. They have too much physical talent to not be a threat.
I do, too, but quick aside, we got to give respect to the Denver Nuggets as well, because that's a really good team. I don't think enough people talk about.
Well, they had.
I stated this already. The NBA has a lot of good, young, watchable teams right now. There are very few teams that are not watchable. Right? Philadelphia, Orlando, they're watchable. It's not like you see them on TV and say, "Oh, get this shit off my television."
Oh, they had some trouble at the start of the season, and they seem like they're maybe starting to get their form. And this is yet another time where we can talk about how impressive the Warriors are, because yet another time we're.
But anyway, this segment that I just made here, this video is going to be just on OKC. I'm not finna talk about the Warriors. But we'll see where OKC can go from here. I believe that, over a span of time, they're going to learn how to play with each other better. And, they'll become more skillful and adroit in implementing every part of their team into the offensive game plan. For their sake, they're going to have to be, or they're going to embarrass themselves. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, peace.